Jacob Elordi sat across from casting agents early in his career and gave them a number that wasn't true. He told them he stood 6 feet 2 inches tall. In reality, he measured 6 feet 5. 3 inches of pure fiction, offered up on purpose, because being too tall in Hollywood can actually cost an actor the job. That sounds backwards. Most people picture their favorite screen giants as action heroes built like mountains. But some of the tallest men in the business have spent years in romantic roles, sitcoms, and comedy sketches, quietly folding themselves down to fit the frame. 12 of them clear 6 feet 4 inches with room to spare. A few push past 6 feet 7. And the reasons they hit it, faked it, or turned it into a career are stranger than the heights themselves. Start with Elordi, because his story set the tone. At 15, modeling agents told him he was too tall to fit their sample clothes, which stung enough that he carried the worry straight into acting. So he shaved 3 inches off his own measurements and hoped nobody would check. The gamble paid off. By January 2026, he was starring as the stitched-together creature in Guillermo del Toro's monster film for Netflix, a part that demanded up to 11 hours in the makeup chair while artists covered his full body in prosthetics. His height, once a liability, became the whole point. Then came the rumors. Early in 2026, his name landed near the top of the list to play the next big-screen secret agent, and fans immediately started arguing. Could a man that tall really vanish into a crowd as a spy? The debate is still going. So if the way height quietly shapes a career is the kind of detail you like noticing, subscribe, because this channel pulls these threads apart all the time. Long before any of that, one man held an official title for it. Christopher Lee measured 6 feet 5 inches and earned a place in the Guinness Book of World Records as the tallest leading actor. He spent decades playing the villain, and his size was part of the menace. Across his career, he performed sword fights in 17 different films, using a reach most opponents couldn't match to loom over every hero who dared face him. Directors loved it. A long shadow falling across a room does half the work of a scary scene before anyone speaks a line. Where Elordi tried to shrink, Lee leaned all the way in, turning his frame into a signature. He proved something the younger actor would only learn later. The right role doesn't punish a big man, it needs one. The tallest of the bunch never planned to act at all. James Cromwell reached 6 feet 7 inches at his peak, and his own father, a well-known director, gave him blunt advice. "Don't be an actor," he said. "You're too tall." So Cromwell tried directing instead, spending roughly 10 years attempting to make it behind the scenes before fully embracing the acting career he'd been warned away from. That stubbornness rewrote a record. In 1996, he earned an Academy Award nomination for his gentle turn as a soft-spoken farmer who befriends a talking pig, which made him the tallest actor ever nominated for an Oscar. The man told he was too big for the screen, ended up standing above every nominee before or since. His father's warning aged badly. And it points to a question worth holding on to. If 6 feet 7 could reach a nomination, who actually took the trophy home? That answer belongs to Tim Robbins. At 6 feet 5, he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 2004 for a heavy crime drama, and no taller actor has ever claimed the prize. Cromwell reached the nomination. Robbins walked away with the statue. The difference sounds tiny on paper, a couple of inches and one word swapped from nominated to won, but it settled a piece of trivia that trips people up constantly. 2 very tall men, 2 separate records, and a common assumption that size and serious acting don't mix. Both of them spent careers proving otherwise, one role at a time. And the next name on the list had to reshape his whole body to earn his place. Winston Duke stands 6 feet 5 and weighed 230 pounds the day he auditioned for a mountain-dwelling warrior in a superhero blockbuster. To build that bulk, he ate around 4,000 calories a day across 11 separate meals, treating food like a full-time job. His screen test nearly ended in disaster. Asked to wrestle his co-star, Duke crouched down into position and split his pants wide open right on the spot. He got the part anyway, but his size wasn't always welcome. For a later horror film, the director pulled him aside and told him to quit the gym and grow a soft middle instead. Worried audiences would wonder why such a muscular character didn't simply overpower the villains and end the movie early. So Duke shrank on purpose too, in his own way, trading muscle for belief. If this run of stories is landing for you, a quick tap on the like button genuinely helps push it toward other people who'd enjoy it too. Not every tall actor fought his height. Some built entire careers on it. Garrett hit 6 feet 8 at his peak and spent 9 years, from 1996 to 2005, playing the older brother on the sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond, where his size got written straight into the jokes. He hunched through doorways and dwarfed the rest of the cast, and the show milked every inch for laughs. Comedy turned out to be friendly ground for the very tall. A big man squeezing into a small kitchen or leaning way down to talk to everyone around him is funny before he even opens his mouth. Garrett understood that early and never resisted it. The camera treated his frame as a gift rather than a problem, which is more than most of his fellow big men could say. Another sitcom leaned even harder on the same idea. Richard Moll stood 6'8" and played a gentle, bald courthouse guard on a primetime comedy that ran from 1984 to 1992. The character was written as a friendly giant, and Moll's real height meant nobody needed camera tricks to sell it. He honestly towered over the entire cast. Audiences remembered that guard for years, largely because the man playing him looked exactly as huge as the script demanded. Where drama sometimes hides a tall actor's size, comedy puts it under a spotlight and asks it to perform. Moll's whole run proved that a big frame, pointed in the right direction, becomes the thing people keep. Then there are the actors whose height you never clocked at all. Vaughn measures 6'5" at his peak, and filmmakers went to real trouble to hide it. On set, co-stars were often asked to stand on wooden apple boxes just to share the frame with him evenly, so the gap wouldn't jump out on camera. Watch his comedies, and he reads as a normal-sized guy cracking jokes, when in truth he stood as the tallest person in most rooms by a wide margin. That's the quiet craft of it. A good crew can shrink a big man with nothing but a box and a careful camera angle. Vaughn built a whole comic persona on seeming approachable, and his real dimensions had almost nothing to do with the version audiences met. British comedy hit a tall man of its own. John Cleese reached 6'5" in his prime, and he put every inch to work for physical comedy on an influential sketch series that ran from 1969 to 1974. His most famous bit turned exaggerated, long-legged walking into an art form, something only a very tall performer with total control of his body could pull off. Age has trimmed him down since closer to 6'3" now, but in those early years he used his length like an instrument. Where others hid their height or played it for menace, Cleese turned his into pure absurdity. A shorter man doing the same routine simply wouldn't have looked as ridiculous, and ridiculous was exactly the goal. Some tall actors save their height for the roles that need muscle behind it. Joe Manganiello stands 6'5" and built a career on physically imposing parts. Back in 2002, he played a high school bully in a superhero film, and years later, from 2010 to 2014, he pulled on the frame of a werewolf in the vampire drama True Blood. His size did the acting before he said a word. When a script calls for someone who fills a doorway and makes smaller characters nervous, casting a genuine 6'5" frame saves everyone the trouble of faking it. Manganiello leaned into that lane on purpose. He let his height steer him toward the strong, dangerous end of the spectrum, and it kept him working for decades. The romantic lead is where tall actors usually disappear, and John Corbett is the proof. At 6'5", he played a warm, easygoing love interest on a hit series about 4 friends in the city, airing his run from 2000 to 2003. His main co-star measured 5'3", which left a gap of 1 foot 2 inches between them. On screen, the show simply worked around it, framing shots so the pairing felt natural rather than comical. Off camera, the difference ran nearly a full head and a half. Nobody watching thought of Corbett as oversized. He read as the charming, steady boyfriend, which is exactly the point. The biggest men in Hollywood are often the ones you'd never guess. Tyler Perry stands 6'5", and he spends much of his time on screen playing a sharp-tongued elderly grandmother he first brought to life in 2005. To pull that off, he leans on padded suits, makeup, and a wig, transforming his 6'5" frame into a towering, sharp-tongued grandmother who dominates every room she enters. It's the opposite of everything the tall men of comedy usually do. Instead of using his height for laughs, Perry buries it completely, hiding one of the biggest frames on this list inside a character built to look small and soft. Plenty of viewers have watched him for years without ever realizing the woman on screen is a man who could see over almost any crowd. That's the trick at its finest. So back to the question that started all this. Could a man built like Elordi ever slip into a room as a quiet secret agent? The whole list keeps pointing to the same answer. Height was never the barrier people assumed. Christopher Lee turned it into menace. Cromwell and Robbins turned it into records. And Vaughn, Corbett, and Perry proved a big man can hide in plain sight whenever the story needs him to. The tallest actor ever nominated for an Oscar was once told his size would end his career before it began. He made history instead. If any of these hidden giants surprised you or made you want to rewatch an old favorite with fresh eyes, like this video and subscribe, because there are far more of these secrets left to pull loose.